Okay, so now let's go to that video, and this video is interesting, this clip. It's called Cognitive Advantages of Bilingualism from a Harvard professor named Maria Polinski. So Maria Polinski is a professor of linguistics at Harvard University, and we got this clip from the channel Serious Science. By the way, we'll leave the link to the channel here in the description in case you guys want to check out the channel and watch more videos that they have. It's really interesting. But in this clip, Cassé, she's talking something along the lines of what you were saying before about how bilingual people or multilingual people are able to easily suppress certain areas of the brain, let's say on demand. And it's funny because she also gives the analogy or the example of driving. So apparently when we drive, we tend to do that too, right? We tend to suppress everything else that we are doing so we can keep our attention on the road. And she says that as a bilingual person, you can do the same by switching on and off between languages. So let's check out this clip and talk a little bit about that and also break down some language that she uses here.
Likewise, when you have two languages or more represented in your brain, when you speak one, a lot of your energy and a lot of your memory resources go into suppressing the other language, which is constantly present in your cognition. And precisely because you're so experienced as a bilingual or multilingual speaker at suppressing the other languages in your representation, your executive control is better. And the way you exercise it way more than, let's say, a monolingual speaker does. And that leads to significant cognitive advantage.
All right. Interesting, right, Cassé? Any thoughts? Any comments?
Yeah, I think this is something that, of course, we don't think about because we have no need to think about it. It's one of those things that's sort of automatic. Like you don't realize that you're suppressing other information while you're driving. You don't realize that you're suppressing. For example, I think when I hear her speak, I'm thinking about when, for example, in your case, I imagine there are times when you're, in a meeting or you're expressing an idea or thought, and you don't even realize that you're suppressing your Portuguese in order to communicate the message in English. And even right now, we're both doing it right now. So I think this is something that is fascinating to think about because it's happening without us even recognizing, and I think that's the point. But I feel like a lot of learners, they're in the beginning, they're always at that point of, I want to be able to think, I want it to be automatic, I don't want to have to be translating in my head, and this is it. Like when you're doing this for a long time, when you keep practicing, this is what happens. This is the payoff, right? So it's that, like, it becomes so automatic, and it's fascinating to think about.
I really like the last line she says there, that significant cognitive advantage you have, simply by speaking more than your native tongue. That's incredible. Let's break down some language she uses here, Cassé. She starts the clip by saying likewise. Because, before that, just to give you some context, she gives the driving example that I just described. And then she says, likewise, when you have two languages or more. What does it mean likewise in this context?
So we use the word likewise to mean in the same way.
By the way, I love to teach that word to students as an alternative to nice to meet you too. Because a very common phrase that learners learn is, hello, I'm Thiago, nice to meet you. And then the person says, nice to meet you too. But you can also say, nice to meet you. Oh, likewise. You see, just a word, very simple, very quickly.
Nice. I actually used that one about an hour ago. Someone said, it's good to see you again, Cassé. And I said, likewise. Yeah. So you don't have to repeat the greeting. You can just simply respond.
There you
likewise.
Go. Yeah. Much more practical communication there. About connected speech, there is this segment here in the clip, which goes a lot of your energy and a lot of your memory.
A lot of your energy and a lot of your memory resources.
This is a common connection we have here. So the T, the final T for lot, sounds like a flap T sound. It's a da-da, da-da. And then we connect that with the preposition of. So a lot of, a lot of, a lot of. So it's this ra, ra. The article a before lot also has the schwa sound here. So we say a lot, and then a lot of, a lot of. She says something interesting also here. She says a lot of her memory resources go into suppressing the other language. And a little bit ahead, she also says that bilingual or multilingual speakers, they are good at suppressing the other languages. Notice that in these two instances here, we have a preposition, into and at, and after we have a verb, the verb suppress. Now, a grammar rule here that is important to point out is if you have a preposition and a verb right after the preposition, the verb is in the ing form. We use the verb in the ing. So that's why we say into suppressing and not into suppress, or at suppressing and not at suppress. All right. Just to give another example, let's say I am good at playing guitar. You see, at preposition, playing verb in the ing. By the way, Cassé, we are using this word a lot here. What does it mean to suppress?
So to suppress something means to sort of hold it back or to stop something from happening. Or, for example, if you want to cry, you're feeling really emotional while watching a movie, you could suppress your tears, which means to sort of hold them back and prevent them from flowing. Or if someone tells a joke and it's an inappropriate one, you might want to suppress your laughter. So you're like, which means you prevent yourself from laughing. So think about it as, stopping something from happening.
I just want to point out that you just used the rule that I just explained about preposition and verb. You said prevent from flowing. You see, from is a preposition and flow is a verb. From flowing, from laughing. Yeah. She also says in the clip here that your executive control is better. Executive control is a kind of a term that they use in neuroscience to relate to different cognitive abilities that we have. For example, your working memory, attentional control, planning, reasoning, problem solving. So all these are examples of executive control. So what she's saying here is that bilingual or multilingual people have better executive control, better cognitive abilities, in other words. And finally, Cassé, she says, and that leads to significant cognitive advantage. What does it mean when something leads to something else?
So when one thing leads to another thing, it means that this causes this, or this results in this happening. So for example, studying every day could lead to you acing the test, or exercising every day could lead to you becoming fit and healthy, or will most likely lead to you being fit and healthy. Think of it, one thing resulting in another thing. And also lead, I think there's a mental picture that it draws for me. So it doesn't happen immediately. If someone leads, they're taking you sort of on a journey. They're taking you somewhere to a destination. So one thing will result in another thing over time. When we think about our old age, being an elderly person, we don't think that learning a language has anything to do with that, right? We don't think that it will pay off, that learning that language is going to pay off in the long run. We think about now. We can make money now. We can make friends now. We can travel and communicate now. But I think surprisingly, being bilingual or having a bilingual brain has its benefits in terms of delaying the onset of diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia, which are terrible diseases if you've ever met anyone or know what it does to people in their old age, or the consequences of those diseases. So being bilingual, science proves that it can delay the onset of these diseases by up to 5 years.
Wow.
So I think that's pretty important, right?
It is. By the way, what does that mean? It delays the onset of dementia or Alzheimer's. What is the onset in this case?
So the onset of something is the beginning or the starting point of something, usually unpleasant. So of course it doesn't mean that you're not going to get Alzheimer's or you're not going to, but it can also not only decrease the possibility of you getting it, but it can decrease the symptoms and the effects that the disease has on your body. So that's pretty important, right?
You said something nice there that I wanted to ask about. You said pay off in the long run. What does it mean when something pays off in the long run?
You can think about it as an investment. Think of an investment. When you go and you invest money in something, you don't see the rewards today. It doesn't pay back today. Over time, maybe in 10 years, 5 years, you will receive an amount of money because of the investments that you've made today. So when something pays off in the long run, it means that you will see the rewards in the future. Not today, perhaps, but in the future, you will see the rewards of that work. Yeah.
Great. Hey, so this is the end of this lesson, but if you enjoyed learning English vocabulary and pronunciation with it, you should know that this clip was just a part of an episode of the Real Life English podcast. And we release a new episode every week. So come check it out right now by clicking here on this video.